Good evening. I am Norman Forbush, and on behalf of the Board of Trustees, I welcome you to the graduation ceremony of the Friends School Class of 2022. Let us start with a moment of silence.
What a beautiful crowd and beautiful weather this evening. Good evening, everyone. It's a genuine pleasure to see all of you here this evening. I also want to extend a warm welcome to everyone who is watching this culminating celebration via our live stream. For those of you who do not know me, I'm Interim Head of School Dennis Bisgard. It's been a true privilege and joy to serve Friends School of Baltimore during the 2021-2022 school year, I've come to appreciate and love the spices and this wonderful community. I'm honored to introduce alumnus Colonel Wendell Leimbach, Jr., Friends School class of 1988, to deliver the commencement address. Colonel Leimbach, known as well to his friends and family, is currently the director of the Joint Intermediate Force Capabilities Office. In this position, he advocates for mainstreaming intermediate force capabilities, IFCs, which includes non-lethal weapons across the U.S. military and with our NATO partners and our allies. He has increased the awareness of novel cutting-edge technologies with senior military and civilian leadership around the world to highlight the need for tools other than lethality to solve challenges posed by our adversaries. IFCs are uniquely suited to dealing with disputes that fall below the level of armed conflict and help to prevent civilian casualties and the destruction of critical infrastructure, both of which extend hostilities unnecessarily. Also important to note, scarlet and gray runs deep in Colonel Leimbach's family. His mom, Sally Huff Leimbach, class of 1964, his aunt, Susan Huff Smith, class of 1960, his uncle, John Huff, class of 1966, and his sister, Lindsay Leimbach, class of 1984, are all alumni. Though not officially an alumnus, his father, Wendell, has for many years served on the board of the McKim Center, which was the original downtown location for Friends School, and has advocated for a close connection between the two organizations through faculty and student partnerships. His mom, Sally, dad, Wendell, wife, Katie, dear family friend, Dr. Ed Lane, and classmates are among those who came to see him speak tonight. Welcome to you all. At Friends School, we value service to others. Colonel Leimbach has embodied this value throughout his exceptional career in the Marines. With varied leadership roles, he's been responsible for the health and well-being of hundreds of fellow Marines and their families. Well chose an unexpected path for a Friends School alumnus, and it reminds me of how important it is that our graduates influence all kinds of fields all over the world in order to truly make an impact. In fact, he credits his Friends School education with providing him with the ability truly and genuinely to see the people and world around him from a perspective that few others share. Please join me in welcoming Colonel Leimbach as our commencement speaker this evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bisgard. I am truly honored and humbled to be here with you all this evening. First and foremost, I want to say and send a heartfelt congratulations to the class of 2022 for their most grand achievement that we're here to celebrate this evening. Now I think it best to go right to addressing the elephant on campus. Why on earth is a United States Marine speaking at a Friends School commencement? I will tell you, I asked myself that very same question, as I know some of my classmates did as well. And I can also tell you, it is not due to my high academic achievement while here at Friends. So if not academic, then perhaps athletic. I did play football, basketball, and lacrosse while I was here. And as I hearken back to playing basketball, I do recall everybody getting really excited whenever I got the ball in a game. My teammates, the coach, and often the Friends School people there watching would all say the same thing at the same time. Pass, pass, pass it up. So, no, wasn't my basketball prowess. So if not athletic and if not academic, then why? Well, I've come to realize that as a Friends School alum that has taken a road much less traveled when compared to so many Friends School graduates, that at a young age, I was afforded an opportunity to know something very important that we, as Friends School graduates, have by virtue of just being here. And that is that when we leave this place, Friends is with us. So allow me to elaborate. I graduated from the University of Delaware in 1992. So I'm going to pause here. There's the public service announcement. Several of your parents asked me to make clear, if you paid attention when I graduated from Friends and when I graduated from Delaware, That was accomplished in 4 years. You're welcome. So, I was shortly after that graduation from the University of Delaware, I was commissioned as a second lieutenant in the United States Marine Corps. And at the age of 23, I was a tank platoon commander. And as such, I was responsible for the lives of 15 Marines. Those Marines came from all walks of life, from all over our nation, many of whom were not much older than you all are here this evening. And for many of them, it was the first significant period of time they were away from home. And when I say I was responsible as their leader, I was responsible for their physical, mental, moral, and financial well-being. And I was responsible for their behavior 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. What could possibly go wrong? I assure you, things did go wrong, as things do go wrong in all young lives. But I realized that it was the Friends community experience that we have all shared that made all the difference for me as a young leader in such a challenging dynamic. The values of integrity, community, equality, and that there is God in all of us made all the difference. It enabled me to lead with empathy, and when dealing with the challenging moments and speaking with my young Marines, I didn't only listen to them, I was able to hear them. Because I knew that there is God in all of us, there is a person with experiences and perspectives that I had to listen to rather than being quick to judge. About 2 years later, I found myself responsible for an anti-tank platoon with over 50 Marines. And with that came more than double the challenges. But here too, Friends School was with me and helped me through those challenging moments. And after 4 years, I was then a tank company commander. And I had over 80 Marines that were in my charge. And for the first time in my career, I came to realize that, in fact, now I was responsible to be a marriage counselor. That was not on the recruiting poster, I assure you. But again, as you were responsible for all of their lives, including their families, and they invariably would have the challenges that young couples would have, it came to my responsibility to be the first step and to help them hear one another and to speak to each other and to help them decide the next steps to help themselves in their young relationships. That was Friends, helping me to do that well. 2 years after that, I was then responsible for a headquarters and service company of over 400 Marines and sailors. I can assure you, Jerry Springer has nothing on the bizarreness that can happen in the lives of 400 Marines and sailors. And with all those trials and tribulations, which there were many, Friends was with me. And oh, by the way, when you're responsible for Marines and the phone rings after 10 o'clock on a Friday night, it's not good news. Something challenging has happened. But it was still Friends that enabled me to deal with those challenging moments and to hear my Marines. And if you want a more tangible example of how I know Friends was with me, and still is, it came to my clear attention in 2008 when I was serving in Iraq, in a place called Al-Anbar, Iraq. Al-Anbar is a large province, roughly the size of Texas, and while there, I was serving with tens of thousands of other service members, and we were spread all over various bases, dozens of bases over that broad area. And while there, it was care packages from home that always meant so much to me. And the most favored thing in a care package that I would receive, now I can tell this is a Baltimore crowd if you know what this is. Okay, so show of hands, how many people have ever had a burger cookie? Ah, see, okay, you're my people. But you also know if you've had the goodness of a burger cookie, 1 is plenty. 2 is too many. So in the spirit of community and service and sharing and charity, I would then go out and share those burger cookies. And it would invariably elicit a great conversation about where on earth did those come from. And so that was always a nice thing to do. And I will tell you that the other thing that we always cherished while we were there was the fact that people from all over our country would send care packages to anybody. They would just send them into the largesse of Iraq for any service member to enjoy. And there was a knock on my office door one day at Camp Fallujah, Iraq. And a young Marine who received a random care package showed me this. A Frisbee. That's nice. But he said, and I looked at him like, well, thanks, but what's the Frisbee for? And he said, well, sir, I was over there opening the care package, and you said you were from Baltimore. Burger cookies. And I said, yeah, that's amazing. And he showed it to me. Well, it says Friends School, Baltimore on this Frisbee. Somebody from this community sent this Frisbee in a box all the way into the random abyss of Iraq, and it found me. Friends is with you. So as my Marine Corps career comes to a conclusion in the foreseeable future, I knew, again, Friends was with me when I received orders to serve in my current capacity. My career has truly gone full circle, from being a tank platoon commander to now being the director of the Joint Intermediate Force Capabilities Office. And it was because of Friends School that I was able to embrace this job, which is in complete antithesis from so many military jobs. The open mind I received here to look at the opportunities and what did it really mean. And I have found myself responsible for an organization known as the JIFCO, and our bold vision is to transform the national security enterprise by mainstreaming the planning and employment of non-lethal intermediate force capabilities across the DoD. And this is not just advanced technology, as was referred to earlier. It's changing the mindset, opening the eyes of leaders in the military that there's another way. Everything doesn't have to be solved with lethality. Friends allowed me to see that opportunity and share it in a way that has been well received. Despite all the challenges, I have heartening news. I've been making inroads with senior leaders. Just a month ago, I was in Brussels, Belgium, briefing at NATO headquarters to the most senior military representative at that NATO headquarters, and briefing the importance of this technology and what it could mean not only to our forces in that environment, but also to our partners and allies. And it was extremely well received. And 2 days from now, I will be briefing that same subject in the Pentagon here in Washington, D.C., to the Assistant Commandant of the Marine Corps, who is the #2 person in the Marine Corps and has 4 stars. And as I know, most people didn't grow up with a military experience. 4 stars is a lot of stars. And it's a great opportunity to be exposed to these senior leaders and to share with them this opportunity that we have to change the way we equip our force and change the way that we train our force to think about problem solving. All I have to do now is get them to write the check. So before I leave you this evening, I was asked to provide you a bit of advice. Well, this evening I have for you a bit of advice and a wish. The bit of advice is never underestimate the power of a burger cookie to help you make a new friend. And the wish is that wherever your education and experiences take you in this world, that your chosen occupation is not just what you do, but that it is a calling that you choose to become. For me, I have been blessed to become a United States Marine, and for almost 30 years of service, I have felt the presence of this place everywhere I've been and with all those challenging leadership environments I've been in. And the profound life teachings have helped guide me as a leader and made me feel as though I were never alone. Class of 2022, wherever you go and whatever your calling may be, always know that Friends is with you. I wish you good luck, God bless, and congratulations.
First, I'd like to give a special thank you to both Mr. Bisgard and Mr. McManus for their time at Friends and their dedication to making this essential ceremony a success. And for everyone here, thank you for your attendance and welcome to graduation. I came to Friends in 6th grade. Like most people who start attending a school where they only know 1 or 2 people, I was apprehensive to quickly enter a new environment and make myself part of an enigmatic community. Yet, when I arrived at orientation that hot August day in 2015, I found friends who would remain my best friends for all of middle school, and many of whom would continue to be my great friends throughout all of high school. During my first few weeks here as a 6th grader, I noticed that there is no such thing as a typical Friends student. Like my great uncle was when he went to Friends in the 1980s, you will see students here that are simultaneously sports captains and in chamber choir, and seemingly reserved students taking on important leadership roles in many of our well-regarded clubs. Our class started together 4 years ago. As our group from middle school nearly doubled that year, creating the community that is evident now began as a challenge. While the new and old in our grade might have strayed away from each other during the first few months of our freshman year, we no longer even recognize that difference that, to some, would seem like a great divider. I personally was never supposed to end up at Friends. I was either going to go to high school in my birthplace of New Orleans if Hurricane Katrina never happened, or public school here in the Baltimore area. But after 7 years at this institution, I can confidently say that I would not want to do high school anywhere else. I've met some of the funniest, most authentic and caring people here, including teachers, and I know that no other school would have molded me into this well-rounded of a person, both in terms of my character and my interests. Teachers go out of their way as much as they can to make sure students understand, and students go out of their way to an inconceivable extent to foster an inclusive, distinguished community that lifts up rather than brings down individual differences. I've discovered things here that I never thought I would have elsewhere. Through our sports requirement, I found out that I love running. Through our arts requirement, I concluded that I'm bad at singing. And through many hands-on hours each week in the classroom, I figured out that, just maybe, I enjoy learning. So yes, I'd like to thank all my classmates, teachers, and everyone's family members here for bringing about the uniqueness and originality that Friends cultivates. Congratulations, graduates. I know that every one of you has tenaciously worked for a long time to get here. And if you do not take anything else from my words today, I would like to just please ask you to enjoy the remainder of the time we have together. Now, I would like to welcome one of my fellow Class of 2022 co-presidents, Annalisa Jenkins, to the stage.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for coming out to support us tonight. I'm Annalisa Jenkins. Wow. I remember vividly at convocations and pep rallies through the years, they'd call out each class, and we'd all cheer when Mr. Michike called out 2022. Now, 2022 was not a real year. It was some futuristic figment of my imagination that would never actually arrive, but here we are. I've been thinking a lot about stories recently. I've been going door knocking with a congressional campaign pretty much every day for my work project, having to make connections with strangers with little to no information. I've realized connection is all about stories. What's your story? What's my story? How do they intersect? How can we understand each other and find common ground? And, just figuring out my own story isn't an entirely simple task. But I've realized so much of my story comes back to this place. Of course, it's the Quaker values and the lessons I've been taught, but mostly it's, these people right here. It's playing astronauts on the dinosaur right over there, playing house in the Twin Trees, the 3rd grade parody of Thrift Shop, cool math games. I actually got re-addicted to Run 3 while I was procrastinating writing this speech. It's Mr. Watt's puns and getting food poisoning at Camp Letts. Do you remember when it was a normal thing for people to just fall out of their chairs? Mud mucking? Who remembers Membean minutes? It's briefly becoming an internet sensation as an e-block vlogger. Finally ruining the Bruin on Rivalry Day. It's karaoke competitions, many a crossword battle, and field trips to famous graveyards. It's the way our class has grown so much, both literally, we doubled in class size before high school, and how we've evolved as young adults. But our story is also losing our teen years to COVID, reconciling with systemic inequities in our community, and tackling massive problems in the world at our most vulnerable, when we couldn't process together. When we finally came back junior year, it was coming home. I was so relieved to be surrounded by this family again. We're the last class that has experienced a full, normal, non-COVID year. I'm so proud of us. We've gone from the annoying ninth graders cracking our knuckles through meeting for worship to a creative senior class that came together to help the school reknit as an in-person community. We stepped up to lead, bringing back traditions like Quaker Bowl and Senior Day, and started new ones like our senior prank and Owen and Peter's unforgettable music video. But even in the smaller moments, we showed the younger kids what it means to be a Friends School student. One of the first times I saw how different this community is was at a middle school diversity conference in DC. They asked us to sit in quiet reflection for a while, and most kids simply couldn't do it. Since then, I've really appreciated our practice of sitting in silence and listening to each other and to our inner selves. We have left a legacy on this school, and wow, has it left a legacy on us. This is our story, this weird, wonderful, tight-knit, reflective, resilient, resourceful, weird school. Or this is the beginning of our stories. As Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie says in a powerful TED Talk that we've watched at least 17 times, there's danger in a single story. We've experienced this one, each in our own way, and now it's time to set off and write the rest. We're all going our separate ways, and I cannot wait to see how each of our stories continues to unfold. Mostly, though, I just want to say thank you. Thank you, friends, teachers, families, mentors, advisors, coaches, for an incredible 13 years. As my mom would say, here I am truly a raisin in a bun. This place has colored our stories and provided us the tools and discernment to write the rest. Thank you. If you'd now please join me in a moment of quiet reflection. Thank you.
Good evening, friends. I'm Steve McManus. I am the upper school principal. Mr. Biscard, it is my pleasure to present the members of the graduating class of 2022. Each has fulfilled the requirements of the faculty and is eligible to receive the Friends School Diploma. Courtney Neal.
Thank you.
Maya Ellen Carnes. Sabina Louisa Cooper. Claire Turk Pupa. Jeanette Moraine Patel. Jordan Patrice Brown. Grace Roosevelt Dworkin. Margaret Winifred Valley. Julia Nadine Mammon. Lily Hakimzadeh Barharlu. Tianhui Rain Ruan. Morgan Eugene Saunders. Thomas Benjamin Graff. Shar Christina Murray. Juliana Priya Bucci. Carmen Diane Tidwell. Allison Corinne Thorne. Mani Vivian Carnes. Annabelle Levy. Avery Lake Goldstein. Olivia Rose Philosoph. Morgan Lindsay Hudgens. Sophia Shunli Elizabeth Houston. Anju Marie Banerjee. Winter M. Gibbs. Miles Avery Johnson. Aiden Christopher Moon. Lindsay Joe Eva Greco. Zoe Moon Baumgartner. Owen Mason Burns. Minea Hannah Stamen. Samantha Klein Handwork. Anna Grace Wallengren. Lamaya Monet Flowers. Miley Jade McGee. Elizabeth Keeler Shuelian Knight. William Albert Scharf. Sarah Wilhelmina Butts. Casey Marie Brown. Ethan Michael Lismy. Annalise Hudson Weber. Paige Ellis Sodek. Lorenzo Boffi Stiavelli. Natalie Jane Barber. Rowan William Harrison Campbell. Kyla Imari Griggs. Ashley Aaron Friedman. Austin Bliss Rendy. Catherine Mills Vandenbeent. Patrick Joseph Carrasca. Jonathan Dylan Elwanger. Charlotte Valentine Wilner. Roshan Avula Rao. Alexander Nerman Asufid. Elena Ann Rusinoff. Tess Marie Gilmore. Nicholas P. Rary. Summer Palm Anderson. Brian Kirk Hastings. Tess Bray Creamer. Finn Hogan Peartree. Connor Francis Gilletta. William Harrison Levy. Krish Kashik Sharma. Henry Luis Selinger. Noah Matthew Moylan. Langston Delano Blackwell. Peter Zejmis. Annalisa Swan Hinckley Jenkins. Quinlan Howard Smith. Zeta Christine Green. Dillard Alexander House. Jacob Walter Grossman. Joshua Carl Steinitz. Vincent Thomas Reynolds. Alexander Licata, Jr. William Thomas Jefferson Maloney. Lucas Minaldi Fisher. Carson Chenoweth Courtright. Niall Amir Joyner Harris. Samuel Aaron Pate. Paul Bennett Hazelhurst. Christopher MacArthur Davis. Joshua Thomas Fizzackley. Ryan Andrews Ellis. Jace Allen Cornell. Brandon Ethan Sklar. Garrett Stephen Taylor. Samuel Hutchins Whitman. Brandon Scheitel Balin. Gabriel Aaron Hill. Peter Landis Michike. Max Howard Butts. Joshua Edward Schuler. Weston Woodward Boone, Jr. Maximilian Abraham Hill. Johannes Alden Shattuck. Graham Scott Rifkin. Leo Andrew Scharf. Friends, with these diplomas now awarded, you are going out into the world to join the thousands of alumni of Friends School who have gone before you. You are now a part of an important legacy. Remember to carry that legacy forward and to steward those who will one day follow in your footsteps. Our heartfelt congratulations to you, the Friends School Class of 2022.
Hello, everyone. My name is Casey Brown, and I know we are so close to wrapping up the ceremony, so just bear with me a few more moments. I actually wrote this speech in class after the conclusion of our final meeting for worship as students at the Friends School of Baltimore. For the parents and guests or anyone who may not be familiar with meeting for worship, it is a Quaker practice where the community comes together, sitting in expectant waiting until we are moved to speak. Usually, and in all other capacities, this takes place with the entire upper school. However, for the seniors' final meeting for worship, it is just the class and some faculty. One by one, we stood up and shared our gratitude for this place that has become our home. With legs shaking and voices wavering, we laughed and cried and simply enjoyed being in each other's company for one of the final times. We latched on to every comment, and in the silence between our words, we found comfort in each other. The community that Friends is known for was utterly tangible in that meeting house, and I know all the students and faculty present know exactly what I mean. I know that on every step of this journey that has been high school, there has been roadblock after roadblock trying to stop us. I will not say we are resilient or persistent. We have heard that enough. But what I will say is that I am in awe of our courage and our ability to find and lean on each other, even if that meant virtually. Just a couple of months ago, I was so thrilled to be leaving this city I've lived in my entire life and exploring the rest of the world. But now, looking out at all of you, saying goodbye became just that much harder. I have no doubt that we will be just fine. We will go out and leave our mark on the rest of the world, but right now, I am perfectly content just being with the people and the place that has become my family. In the years that follow, I hope none of us forget that meeting for worship, our incredible senior prank, making our music video, our final collection, and all the other seemingly mundane moments that were actually some of the best memories we will ever make. I know that I will hold on to and cherish those moments for years to come. I will forever be thankful for this school, which has given me my bestest of friends, the most dedicated of teachers, the most supportive of coaches, some of my hardest laughs and happiest moments. To the parents in all of our support systems, most especially my own, thank you for the opportunity to attend such a special place. Class of 2022, I am so proud of you and everything you have and will accomplish. We did it, and most importantly, we did it together. Congratulations and thank you.
Friends, please join us in the dining hall for a reception to celebrate the graduates. Thank you, everybody.